ECOWAS is the affairs of this sub-regional body. Therefore, today's ceremony is a continuation of that engagement. The idea is to bring all other stakeholders together in one, including our young people, but also to begin the establishment of clubs across senior secondary schools and universities. These clubs will continue the conversation regarding ECOWAS, will challenge, will ask questions, and will continue to pass the baton on to other generations year after year. And therefore today it gives me very great pleasure to be here and to invite my boss, the Honorable Minister of Information, Dr. Ismaila Ceesay, to speak to us about the role and mandate of ECOWAS. Dr. Ceesay, please. Unfortunately, you have to hold the mic.
That's all right. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Haruna. When you refer to me as your boss, I feel a bit old. But I'm not sure if I'm your boss or you are the boss. Honorable Halifa Sallah, elderly statesman of the Republic of the Gambia, Ms. Njilan Senghor, the MD of Trust Bank, my own auntie Beatrice, and also Mr. Jaju from the National Youth, again, what's he called again? National Youth Council. I'm still sleeping, I think. And good morning, young people, the media, officers here from immigration, from the police, and everybody else. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here this morning to discuss a very important topic with the young people of the Gambia. First, I'd like to express our appreciation to Forward Limited for convening this event. It's a timely event, but also it's a very relevant event. But most importantly, the topic itself is important, the role of ECOWAS, particularly within the context of promoting regional integration, or perhaps sub-regional integration. But also we welcome the launch of ECOWAS clubs in the Gambia. These are breeding grounds to produce the future leaders of ECOWAS, both at the technocratic level, but also at the policy-making level. ECOWAS is ECOWAS because of the people who design the policies, but also those who implement those policies. And I think as young people, you will be doing that in the future very soon. So having ECOWAS clubs in the Gambia, it's a very important initiative because it will create the entire ecosystem where young people can be trained to understand exactly where they are from and what they need to develop their communities and their society, but also their region. I've once made a proposal that for ECOWAS really to thrive and for us to achieve our desired integration goal, we must learn to know each other as ECOWAS citizens. The Bissau Guinean must know who the Gambian is, and the Gambian must know who the Senegalese is, and the Senegalese must know who the Togolese is. Because we are the same people. This is the only area, I think, in the world, correct me if I'm wrong, where people share the same surname. You go to Mali, there's a Cisse. You go to Burkina Faso, there's a Cisse. You go to Ivory Coast, there's a Cisse. Senegal, there's a Cisse. Liberia, there's a Cisse. Guinea-Bissau, there's a Cisse. Guinea-Conakry, there's a Cisse. Toure likewise. Camara likewise. So it means that the only thing that is a barrier to this integration that we've been calling the Holy Grail, that we've been desiring to have, is artificial borders. Borders that are not created by us. Borders that when they were being created, we were not present at that meeting. They sat and demarcated the borders and divided our societies. And those borders are still there. Apart from the borders, the language, the Portuguese, the English, and the French. That's the only difference we have with our ECOWAS partner brothers and sisters. But what binds us is more powerful than that language, but also more powerful than the borders. So having ECOWAS clubs in schools to know this, to understand this, is very, very, very important. Now, young people are key actors in shaping the region's future. And that makes ECOWAS clubs very important. Now, ECOWAS is a long-standing partner of the Gambia. I think Gambia has been there from the onset, from when ECOWAS was being established. And we've been participating in democratic consolidation, in the promotion of peace building, but also in the strengthening of institutions within the ECOWAS region. I think some of you who can remember when Liberia was in turmoil in the late 80s and early 90s, Gambia was part of those countries that did not only lead mediation efforts, but also took part in peacekeeping missions in Liberia through ECOMOG. So Gambia has not only been one of the founding members of ECOWAS, but has consistently played an important role in making sure that ECOWAS is fit for purpose. But ECOWAS also has supported Gambia when we needed them. As recently as in 2016, when we had a so-called impasse. I'm happy that Honorable Halifa Sallah is here. I think he'll talk more about that. ECOWAS played a critical role in ensuring that the will of the Gambian people in 2016 was adhered to by engaging in subtle diplomacy. We saw how many African ECOWAS leaders flew into Banjul to try to mediate with President Jammeh, but also using the sticks as well, the threat of the use of force if the will of the Gambian people was not respected. And I think so ECOWAS played a very critical role in restoring constitutional order in the Gambia in 2016. Within the certain sectors also, ECOWAS plays a critical role. One is trade. They harmonize trade regulations among the ECOWAS countries. That is why we have the so-called movement of people, goods, and services within the ECOWAS region. Some people can question to what extent is it being implemented? Because still the borders are there. Still sometimes the movement of people and goods can be problematic sometimes in certain areas of ECOWAS. We've seen that. That is something we've lived. The idea was there should be no borders. The kind of supra-territorial system we have within the EU, where people move freely from one country to the other without any borders. Unfortunately, we still have the borders. But still, sometimes the movement of people and goods can be problematic and challenging within the ECOWAS region. But nonetheless, we've worked hard within the ECOWAS to harmonize these trade regulations. And also, ECOWAS has supported in our security sector reform as well. Also, through infrastructure development, ECOWAS has also supported in that area as well, among other areas. There has also been joint action on terrorism, fighting irregular migration, fighting crime, but also making sure that we together find solutions to what we call the climate change. So within these sectors, within these areas, security, trade, climate change, irregular migration, terrorism, there has been consistent partnership between ECOWAS member states to make sure that, because these are common threats, therefore we believe that common threats require common solutions to fight them. And I think these common solutions were those that were adopted by the ECOWAS to make sure we help member states to deal with these situations. Because remember, the fact even outside of the ECOWAS, move across borders with ease. Crime with ease. The effects of climate change also has impacts across borders. So therefore, having ECOWAS to create a platform where ECOWAS states can work together to deal with these common problems is very important. Now, let's look at opportunities for young Gambians insofar as ECOWAS is concerned. Apart from free movement for education, and I think this is something that it's happening, Gambians can go to Ghana and study there. Likewise, Ghanaians can come to Gambia and study here. But we need to take this further. In Europe, there's what they call the Erasmus exchange, where EU member states students can move from country to country, and this is sponsored by the EU. This is something ECOWAS can also think about, because like I said from the beginning of my speech, that we need to know each other, so that Gambians, after finishing grade 12, can go to Guinea-Bissau for 6 months or 1 year, and do post-high school studies there, learn Portuguese. Senegalese can come to Gambia 6 months, 1 year, learn English. Sometimes these are barriers to trade, the language barriers, and the lack of understanding for each other. But if we have a kind of an exchange, an educational exchange, where Gambian students can go to Senegal, they can go to Mali, they can go to, no, Mali is not in ECOWAS anymore for now, but all ECOWAS member states, to learn that language, know the people, know the society, know the institutions, and know how the administration works. When you come back to Gambia and implement ECOWAS protocols, it makes it very easy for you. But there are still opportunities. Many young Gambians can move borders freely now, but also many young ECOWAS citizens can also move borders freely in search of education, in search of work, but also in search of business. Particularly for businesses, young Gambian entrepreneurs, you have access to a big market. Sometimes you hear Gambians argue that the Gambian market is small, 2.5 million people, but you have access to over 400 million citizens because of the ECOWAS free trade protocols. It means that any business, the entrepreneurs, any business you start in Gambia, any services or goods you are selling, particularly digital services, you have access to 400 million people. That's how big the market is. The entire ECOWAS market. So the opportunities are huge for young Gambians, particularly in the area of business for entrepreneurs. But also skills programs and innovation. Ghana has very good technical universities. Likewise, Nigeria. So the opportunities are also there. This within the framework of the so-called South-South cooperation. Now you don't have to go to Canada or the US to access quality education in certain critical disciplines. You can get them in Ghana or in Nigeria within ECOWAS framework. With digital technologies also, we collaborate a lot with ECOWAS, particularly in dealing with big tech firms like Facebook, TikTok, these big, like Meta, these big tech firms. Because countries like Gambia, Cape Verde, for example, Burkina Faso are small. Dealing with these tech firms can be difficult, particularly where it has to do with digital content, particularly harmful content. So therefore, ECOWAS collaborates within that framework to make sure that we have an approach to deal with these big tech firms, because it gives us more leverage. But young people also have to participate, because things don't come on a silver platter. The opportunities are there and you have to go and grab them. You need to make sure that you actively participate in ECOWAS activities, but also get to know exactly what opportunities are there for young Gambians insofar as ECOWAS is concerned. Because that is what integration requires. For us to promote integration, young people have to take the lead in making sure that we do this integration. Otherwise, it will remain a dream forever. We also have to promote policy dialogue, which is very important, because if policies are not harmonized, then we cannot really achieve our goals, particularly when it regards to the movement of goods and services and people. Still, there are bottlenecks there. How do we align policies? If you look at the EU system, most policies have been aligned, the so-called integration. where they have common policies in certain sectors, common agricultural policy, common trade policy, common defense, no, not defense. Defense and diplomacy are still reserves of the sovereign states. But most cases, agriculture, trade, and some of these certain sectors, they have common policies. I think when you have common policies, it makes it easy for integration also to happen. But also, we believe that the ECOWAS clubs that we are about to establish could be incubations to really create the new generation of ECOWAS leaders among young people, to harness your potentials by helping you and developing your skills and your talents to be able to actively participate within the ECOWAS region. Now, when it comes to misinformation and identity, ECOWAS believes that misinformation and disinformation and hate speech are drivers of conflict in the 21st century. That is why they take it very serious. That is why when we approach them as a ministry for support to establish a misinformation and disinformation response center, they funded it because they believe that one of the key drivers of conflict in the ECOWAS and the Sahel region in the 21st century is misinformation and disinformation, and also the threat to information integrity. So therefore, working with ECOWAS or within the ECOWAS framework to fight misinformation is also key. And I think young people can play a very, very prominent role in helping us fight misinformation and disinformation within the ECOWAS framework by making sure that you verify information before you're sharing. Now, we all know the threat of fake news, of manipulated content, of deep fakes. People can just sit in their little corner and create content and share. What makes it go viral? Because people reshare. So as young people, don't just share any content you receive. Make sure you verify that content is authentic content before you share that content. Because of these travels, one click of a content, once you share it, it can reach millions within a couple of minutes or hours. Before you have to share it, tell someone will tell someone, it's very slow before it spreads, but now it spreads very quickly. So therefore, it's important that the ECOWAS clubs, the young people we are going to have in these ECOWAS clubs, must be responsible digital citizens that promote peace. Because if you promote peace in Gambia, you promote peace in the ECOWAS region. If you promote peace in the ECOWAS region, you promote peace in Africa. Because these are linked. Like I argued before, instability in Mali or Burkina Faso highly likely will spill over across the border and can bring instability in the neighboring countries. Even the movement of people, irregular migration, even migration. But when there's conflict, people move. When they move, they go to other countries and they start fighting for scarce resources. That can cause conflict. Small arms can also move across borders. Drugs can also move across borders because there are no institutions that are filled. So therefore, we must always make sure that whatever we do as young people, we maintain peace in our communities, in our countries, but also in our region. So government and ECOWAS can also work together, that is Gambia government, to promote youth empowerment programs and entrepreneurship. There's a new idea now, not everybody, the university route is not only now the only route for young people to be successful. You don't have to go to university to be successful. You can be a very successful entrepreneur without going to university. Most of the modern successful entrepreneurs that have invented things that have changed our lives have not been to university. So therefore, working with ECOWAS as a government to promote entrepreneurship among young people, to create alternative means of skills building is also important for young people. Because what it can do is expand opportunities for young people through regional collaboration. What young people need are opportunities to thrive, to succeed, to make it, to either employ or to be employed, or to employ yourself. And I think we can achieve that through what we call digital inclusion and access to information, which remains a priority. Because today, certain jobs are highly competitive, certain scholarships are highly competitive. If there's a scholarship opportunity in Canada, for example, today, not only a Gambian will apply for it, a Nigerian is also going to apply for it. A Ghanaian will apply for it. A Liberian will apply for it. So promoting digital inclusion in our schools, but also ensuring that young people have access to information will help us a lot in a highly competitive world. What about regional identity? It's something that we have to promote as young people. You need to be proud to be a Gambian, but also you need to be proud to be a West African. We've asked this question many a time: what is the most authentic Gambian identity? We still yet to answer that question. Because if you say being Gambian, that was imposed on us. I know some will disagree. It's someone who said I was Gambian because someone demarcated a boundary and put people inside and called them Gambian. Is that the most authentic identity? It's a question that we still are trying to answer. Is my name the most authentic identity? No, perhaps. Because my name is Arabic, Ismail. It's not African. John is also not African. You are baptized and they call you John or Ibrahim. All these are not authentic African names. Perhaps our surname, Cisse, maybe. So, but the most important is you need to be proud Gambian because we are Gambian, and a proud West African. Because once you have a strong identity, once we are able to nurture a strong regional identity, this can help us strengthen peace and prosperity. Because it makes you believe in yourself. It makes you work hard to develop yourself. Because when you develop yourself, you develop your community by extension. And when your community is developed, your country is developed by extension. And your region also develops by extension. And I think in that regard also, it's important for us to promote cooperation. Because cooperation is important. We cannot do things alone. Everybody has a skill. Everybody is good at something. But if we cooperate, we're able to bring our skills together, and that can bring development. On a final note, I urge young people to take ownership of the ECOWAS vision. And that vision is integration, bringing our people together, have a borderless community where people can move freely and easily, where goods and services can move easily and freely, and where we have common policies on issues that affect our lives or the lives of the peoples of the region, where we are able to find common solutions to our collective problems of migration, climate change, and the movement of illicit goods like drugs, but also small arms and ammunitions. We also have to innovate and build businesses and contribute to development. Innovation is key. Innovation is what makes us move forward as a region. So that whatever we do as young people is try to always innovate, come up with new things and new ideas, and be creative, and build businesses that can serve the ECOWAS region. As a government, we remain committed to youth empowerment. We think that is our priority and it's our focus. We believe that every young person has a potential to thrive. Every young person has a potential. What we can do as a government is to ensure that we provide the opportunities so that young people fulfill those potentials. The American Declaration said that all men are born with rights, and these rights are inalienable rights. I believe that all men and women are born with potentials, and we have to nurture these potentials and make sure that we harness them so they can benefit our young people, but also benefit society at large. Every young person is born with something, has a skill that you came with, has something that you come with in this world. Need the skill centers, the universities, the schools, the incubation centers, for you to identify those skills, those talents, and those potentials, for you to develop them and harness them, then those potentials will waste. So therefore, as a government, our commitment is to work within the ECOWAS framework to make sure we provide empowerment opportunities for young people. On that note, I'd like to congratulate the organizers for organizing this very important event, but also wish the ECOWAS clubs in the Gambia success. We believe these clubs will be incubators where the talent development value chain within the entire ecosystem will be established to teach young people skills, to teach them leadership, ethics, to teach them to know themselves, to teach them to be proud of who they are, but also to identify the potentials, their born or God-given potentials, and help them develop those potentials so that those potentials can go on to benefit them, benefit their families, benefit their communities, but also by extension, benefit the region and the world at large. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. And to say that the ECOWAS clubs are beginning with the Gambia. It's first established here in the Gambia, and hopefully it will be established in all other 11 countries across West Africa. So Gambia is going to be used as an example. Our success, therefore, will determine how ECOWAS will spread these clubs around all of West Africa. Many years ago, when I was struggling with my career to make a decision if I would be the banker that I wanted to be, or if I would become something else. At Radio 1 FM, during the transition from the 1994 coup d'etat to democracy, there was a conversation if the military were to stay for 2 years or 4. And then came a gentleman in our studios one time to begin conversations around a referendum to make a decision if it would be 2 years or 4 years before we go back to democracy. Right after that, a draft constitution, which is now very well known as the 1997 Constitution, also emerged. It was this gentleman that encouraged me at the time to read both documents and start a radio program with him. And that led to my transition from a DJ, Magenyan Request Kokomai, into a full-fledged media personality. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Honorable Halifa Sallah.
It's over 20 years. Protocol properly observed, Honorable Minister, and the CEO, Trust Bank, Mr. Jaju of the Youth Council, and my sister who I have not seen for many years. We cross feathers during the old days. I am asked to deal with misinformation and ECOWAS identity. I'm restricted. So you'll not be hearing about 2016 as the minister promised you. Misinformation is a weapon. Is weaponized to mislead. And it's an enemy to clarity, consciousness, And only somebody who is subjected to miseducation can be misinformed. And that is why it is important to interrogate the issue itself. You cannot talk about misinformation without establishing what is information. You have to have evidence before you can assert. This subject today is rather late to be discussed, but better late than never. If you look at the Gambian Constitution, Section 199 is saying the National Council for Civic Education should in fact educate the Gambian on international, regional, and continental matters. Since 1997, that should have been a subject of discussion in our school systems. Educating you about the United Nations, about the African Union, about ECOWAS. And the education must start from understanding why we have ECOWAS. How did it originate? And you are giving me 15 minutes to address you on that subject. It's impossible. The knowledge will not be deep because the controversies were many. Africa did not drop from the sky. There was no Africa. The League of Nations provided the basis that former colonies, their borders will serve as the borders of nation states. So you see, identity evolves from being subjects of colonialism to become independent, to own a territory that they carved. But notwithstanding, we came to own it and can claim it. And that is why we say sovereign republic. We own our country. And nobody dares to come to our national waters and fish with impunity. Otherwise, we'll arrest you, no matter whether you're from the United States or any other power. China, Russia, any power, Europe, we can arrest you. And you will subject yourself to arrest. And until we charge you and you pay, nobody can come and rescue you from our territory. So that is the reality, that countries became independent. And from the very beginning, those who pioneered it, like Nkrumah, felt that these micronation states will not be able to develop independently unless they coalesce. He tried. The whole subject of integration started with Pan-African integration. 8 August 1960, Nkrumah and Lumumba met, agreed to establish a union of African states so that they can combine their resources, build their banking system, build their agricultural system, their industrial system, communication system. So the true continental unity would have been like all the other countries. United States, many states combined to form it. Europe came to do the same. It's a response to failed continental unity. When Lumumba was killed, Nkrumah overthrown, the subject of African unity became marginalized. And ultimately, it is the OAU that facilitated an integration that left us to decide how far. So we're beginning to see this subject of sovereign nations voluntarily coalescing to cooperate, moving from a sovereignty of a country to cooperative sovereignty, the sovereignty decided by nations to come together. ECOWAS is cooperative. ECOWAS, in the other regional groupings, you will see them in the OAU Charter, creating African heads of states, establishing an authority which is like the executive with their council of ministers, and then create a secretariat that will serve the purpose of helping them to coordinate resources and to also build many committees that will engage in trade, agricultural collaboration on all sectors. But the issue here is if you have Gambia and you talk about the people, then could we say Gambia is a Gambia of the people? Or do we say that Gambia is a Gambia which is the state? Some people will say that, well, the people constitute the government, the state. That's where the confusion starts. Something needs to be clarified. That you cannot have a country without a people, that is a fact. But you cannot have a people without a state, because the state is an instrument of how they are to be governed. And that instrument cannot build itself. It must be built by a body, and that becomes the government. So the government comes to build the state, and that state provides the services to serve the people. So we can talk about ECOWAS of states and ECOWAS of people, but the two are irretrievably linked. They are linked. You cannot separate them. In essence, we are saying, if you were to wake up one day and there is no Gambian state, then who do you hold account for hospitals, schools, and development? There will be anarchy. So this state is there for us to take ownership of our country and expect to hold account to those who should facilitate the development of the country and provide its services. That is really what we must understand today. That ECOWAS is not simply a loose organization of states, but is designed to be a cooperative state where our governments will come together to overcome their weaknesses through their collaboration. So ECOWAS should enlarge our ownership to move from 2.4 million people to now that some had left, over 300 million people. You can do the calculation after these other countries are supposedly gone. But that's where the lesson, and control me, moderator, so that I do not exceed. 5 minutes, you tell me where I should stop. I know exactly how I'm paddling my canoe. So essentially, that's where the problem starts. To raise the question again, this enlarged body that should belong to us, that should act just like the national government, establish an executive with ministers, establish a parliament, establish a court, provide a secretariat that renders services. That is what is supposed to be. After establishing all that, what should it do? Well, a government should build hospitals, should build schools, should build roads, and everything else. So that is why ECOWAS, just like your government, must also, or our government must also have a budget, raise resources. Many people don't know that you are contributing your butut to ECOWAS. There is a tax or import duties, a percentage that is taken and put into ECOWAS coffers. All members must contribute their quota. And ECOWAS is empowered to take loans, to prepare projects, to deal with the European Investment Bank, receive funds from EDF, European Development Fund, sit with them, collaborate with them, speak on your behalf. So we are talking about institutions that we own, that we should hold accountable, just like we hold our governments at home accountable. The whole ECOWAS leadership must always be held accountable. If you don't know what they are doing, how will you hold them accountable? So therefore, something exists, it raises resources on our behalf, it speaks on our behalf. We must be part of the process to know what we own and what we are entitled to, what it should do for us. That is why we must take interest, not only in ECOWAS, but also in AU. All these institutions would only survive if they rely on what we own, our own resources. And the more we build it up, the more we build the resources up, the greater the potential of those institutions and the more we'll benefit. I will try as much as possible to be focused on exactly what I'm assigned to do. That's identity. Three nations just decided to withdraw from ECOWAS. Executive Secretary and say, I am going to leave as a state. 1 year after, if you don't withdraw, then you are gone. Somebody carries out a coup d'etat and take over a state and come back and say, I am getting out of ECOWAS. Is ECOWAS of the people? Why hasn't it built in that instrument that you must have a referendum before you leave ECOWAS? If ECOWAS and ECOWAS of the people, you must have a referendum before you can leave ECOWAS. But if ECOWAS is an ECOWAS of state, of course, any state can come and say, I'm out of ECOWAS, and the person will remove the state from ECOWAS. Then another time, somebody will carry out a coup d'etat and say, I'm bringing the state back to ECOWAS. Endless instability will exist on the continent. So if we are to have it right, and if ECOWAS is to be ECOWAS of the people, then your consent matters. And of power. So that governments will not exist anywhere in ECOWAS territory that had not derived their authority from your consent. And those governments must be checked with institutions that ensures that they perform their duty according to law. That's why they talk about rule of law. All these terminologies, good governance, they appear meaningless, but that is the reality. It's giving you ownership. so that those who serve you will deliver. And I hope that we see this as just whetting your appetite, because ECOWAS is involved in many, many projects and programs that should assist all our countries to move towards greater self-reliance and development. Food and agriculture is the cornerstone. And there is a commission dealing with that. And if you are dealing with food and agriculture, you must, what do you deal with? Of course, you must deal with crops. You must deal with fisheries. And agriculture will also move into forestry so that we can have chairs and tables and beds. So you have to deal with livestock. That will also require science. The whole subject of biology is that, is understanding all the plants and animals. The fish, amphibian, reptiles, birds and mammals, all must be studied to see how we derive food from them. Therefore, you need people who are there as scientists, not only nationally, but within the sub-region. You train them to harness our food rather than this artificial, modified genetic products. We depend on replicate them. So in short, we move from agriculture into industry. You need to process. States can work and produce to process their products. ECOWAS could have branches to produce, transform all the fruits that we have into other things. Of course, now they're also saying the private sector can come, but how can the private sector have opportunity without resources? It means there too, there is need for collaboration. And the private sector can only succeed if you also have continental or regional unity, custom union, monetary union, a central bank, a common currency. Otherwise, people will just get up and try to collaborate, but it will not succeed. That is why in 1987, my conclusion, after all our countries had developed many years, you end up with an Africa with 450 million people with a GDP of 135, which at that time was estimated to be the GDP of Belgium with only 10 million in population. But when they had the Lagos Plan of Action, they said Africa had 95% of chrome, 85% of platinum, 64% of manganese. My wife has just written a book, read it, Leadership in West Africa. She has documented, she's more current, I'm quoting Lagos Plan of Action, she's quoting recently, and you see the resources of Africa and the GDP of Africa, resources of West Africa. So in short, we are opening up a new theater for dialogue and debate. This is just the opening. And these clubs that are to emerge should not just be for celebrations. They should be school of life. To know that the potentials are many and they are being exploited. But I must emphasize again that you can have all the initiative. I say it is the door. You can have all the skills, all the knowledge, all the initiative without opportunity, and poverty will continue to be entrenched. Training, must be linked. There is an industry, somebody investment, or the country investing. Production is the foundation of success. Without it, there can be no development. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sala. Now you are aware how easy it was back in 1995 that I was convinced to continue holding a microphone for the rest of my life as a career. He talked about the book by the wife. I wasn't going to say the wife, Dr. Aida Jallow Sala, because I don't want his name to overshadow her brilliant work. So Dr. Aida Jallow Sala has written a book called Political Leadership in West Africa, Facts and Factors. Very interesting book. Is available on sale here today, this morning in fact, at $1,000. So if you're interested, come somewhere around the back and the book will be available to you. We're progressing well, despite the fact that we began a bit late. And now we are to witness a panel, a short panel, about 30 minutes, and a discussion on the opportunity within ECOWAS framework by ladies and gentlemen. I wouldn't want to go deep into that as there is a moderator already chosen for it. So I'd like to invite the moderator.
CEO, distinguished guests, and fellow young people. Good morning to you all. It's a great honor to serve as the moderator for this important and engaging panel discussion. And today, we have inspiring panelists that join us for this important panel. We have with us Mr. Babukar Saho. Mr. Saho is the Deputy CEO of Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and he has years of experience in the area of commerce. From Mr. Saho, we have Mrs. Beatrice Mboj. Mrs. Beatrice Mboj is the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Gambia Women's Chamber of Commerce. She is a board member of the National Sports Council, a board member of the Tertiary and Higher Education Trust Fund, and also a board member of the International Labour Organization. From Mrs. Mboj, we move to Mr. Basiru J. Mr. J is a youth development policy and development expert. He serves as the national focal point at the Youth Connect Africa Hub and is the CEO and founder of the BJ Academy. From Mr. J, we move to Madam Jilan Senghor. Madam Senghor is the Managing Director of Trust Bank PLC and a distinguished finance professional with extensive experience in audit, banking, corporate governance, and financial sector development. She is a fellow of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants and a fellow of the Association of Accounting Technicians. So we are privileged to be joined by these outstanding panelists whose diverse experiences span government, finance, commerce, and youth issues. I have no doubt that their insights will enrich our understanding and inspire meaningful action. So we just have 30 minutes, and I will go direct to the point. Each of the panelists will answer 2 questions. Then from there, we will have an open dialogue. So we start with Mr. Babukar Saho, that's Deputy CEO. Yes. Mr. Saho, ECOWAS promotes the free movement of goods, services, and people. So how can young people, young Gambian entrepreneurs, take advantage of these opportunities to expand their businesses across the region?
Thank you very much, Jabu, for that question. And I must say that I am very excited to be here, particularly to share a platform with Honorable Khalifa Saleh. It's quite something for some of us, because he's a man that we look up to, especially for moral guidance. So it's an honor to share the same platform with him and everybody seated in front of you here today. So with regards to the question, you see, there's something that I want to share with you here today. When it comes to trade within the West African sub-region, we're looking at trade via mediation, because that's the only Senegal. And for years upon end, that has been a challenge. That has been a challenge. Now, name any Senegalese administration, government-wise, from Abdou Diouf all the way to the current dispensation, their trade policy on Gambia has been the same. It hasn't changed. Every year, we do engage them, but the results of that engagement equally has not changed, remains the same. So I think it is important that outside the AFCFTA and outside the ECOWAS protocols, we have a strong, clear bilateral with Senegal. We're not talking about trade retaliation. We're talking about value creation and having an understanding with them that they can pay attention to. Because today, any small business or any size of any business that you're doing, and even if your product is 100% produced in Gambia, you have a problem to access the Senegal market or to access the rest of the West African market through Senegal. So I think that being the case, given that they don't pay heed to the regional protocols or even the continental protocols, so therefore we need to sit with them to have a specific trade protocols that has to do with goods coming from the Gambia to access Senegal or the rest of the sub-region. Now, this doesn't have to be each and every product available in the country. It has to be with products that are made in the Gambia. Water, for example, we have a better product, we have a better taste. If only we can, lobby and get our water to access Senegal's market, we can create jobs, add value, and add to the profitability of our businesses. Our small-scale businesses, the women that are having small-scale production facilities behind their compound, the same thing. Whether it's the baobab stick, the cherry, whatever you name, all these things cannot access. So for us to be able to benefit as youth coming up, there's an advocacy we need to do. That is to consider the Gambia's unique position in West Africa and get ECOWAS to recognize that so that we can have unfettered market access.
Thank you so much, Mr. Saho. That is really important. So, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, the Honorable Minister have other important engagements to attend to, so we excuse him while he leaves. Thank you, Honorable. Yes, thank you. Thank you. So now we move to Mrs. Beatrice Mboj. Yes. Mrs. Mboj, from the perspective of Gambia Women's Chamber of Commerce, what opportunities does regional integration create for young women entrepreneurs and women-led businesses in the Gambia? So each panelist is given 3 minutes maximum to answer the questions because we just have 30 minutes. Thank you. Yeah.
Everything on the table. So for women, young women to be able to access all of these products. Okay, start counting now. For women to really experience the benefits of this regional integration, there are so many factors that are inhibiting this. Like he said, most of these protocols are not taken into consideration by our unique neighbors who we have to pass through for everything. So women, when they have to cross over to do their business, sometimes they are delayed at the border post. They have perishable goods that they lose. They have children. They are carrying babies on their backs. They sleep in the street. So I believe we should all sit around the table, like was suggested, because women have got a unique position in cross-border trade. And we cannot benefit if we continue to experience all of these challenges that were outlined by the previous speaker. I don't have to go through it again. But I also would advocate for them to be given training in the protocols that are existing, and also to know our rights, because I believe sometimes we don't know our rights. That's why when we travel, it makes it even more difficult for women.
Thank you so much. You completed before the 3 minutes last. Yeah. So that is important. Just like she said, women should be given trainings on existing protocols. Yeah, I think that is really important, and we should also know our rights. So, because if you know your rights, people will not be able to trample with things that affect you. You will be able to defend yourself and know your things, your responsibilities and everything. So now we move to Madam Jilan Senghor. Madam Senghor, access to finance remains one of the biggest challenges for young entrepreneurs. So how can the banking sector better support youth-led businesses seeking to take advantage of the opportunities that are within the ECOWAS region?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Honorable Sala, my good auntie Beatrice, fellow panelists, and everyone here. Thank you. That is a question we get asked all the time in the industry. I call it the battle between the entrepreneurs and the banks. It is true. Access to finance is difficult for entrepreneurs, but I would like to explain from the bank's perspective. All licensed banks in the Gambia are commercial banks, which means every dollar that they lend belongs to depositors, not to the banks. It is somebody's salary or somebody's pension or a business's revenue or somebody's saving. So because of that, banks have a fiduciary responsibility to protect those depositors' funds. Startups, by their very nature, are very vulnerable and very likely to fail. Sad to say, but all over the world, the failure rate for startups is very high. Most businesses, most startups don't survive the first few years. So because of that, banks have limited appetite for such risky lending opportunities. Now, that does not mean that banks are not willing to help. I think the discussion should rather be on how we are going to get entrepreneurs to be more bankable so that the risk appetite of banks is improved. From what we see, most entrepreneurs run to the bank with ideas. Banks cannot finance ideas. All banks will tell you now they don't even want collateral to lend. Before, if you manage to find an uncle or somebody to help you with a property, you still run to the bank and say, I have collateral. I don't think there's any bank that's doing collateral-based lending right now. What we look for is capacity. So what that means is that you have to start small. You have to demonstrate that your business has customers. It has a market. It has potential to generate cash flows. Open a bank account. Come to the bank with an idea to say, finance this for me, it's very unlikely to happen. Now, the other thing is banks are regulated, and so they will have requirements that most entrepreneurs will find difficult to meet. Collateral is one of them. Credit history maybe is also going to be another problem. So running to the bank is not always a first recommended idea. We need to look into angel investor networks where entrepreneurs can be paired with investors who have excess liquidity and are willing to take a risk depending on an agreement you have. I'm working on one with a mentee right now. So what it means is that you literally give a promissory note to the investor to say, give me the money and I'll pay you back in accordance with these terms. If I cannot, then you convert your debt to equity in my business. That works. It may be a little bit cheaper and less constraining than getting bank financing.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we hope that with your mentee, you will be able to finalize that so that you can support others that are interested. So just like she said, if you are a young woman that is interested or a young person that is interested in the finance, in the area of finance, to receive support from the banking sector, you need to start somewhere. You need to show them that you are serious. You don't just go there and tell them we need financial support without showing them that you are serious about what you want. So I hope we will all take that into consideration whenever we want to, to venture into business or entrepreneurship. So now we move to Mr. Basiru J. Mr. J, ECOWAS places young people at the center of regional development. So from the perspective of the government, what role should young Gambians play in advancing ECOWAS' vision of regional integration?
Thank you so much. I think that I am Basir. I'm representing my director anyway. That question is so pertinent to me because there's something that I always advocate for. And number one is young people should serve as drivers of progress. If there is education and then skills, we need to venture into education and then skills. We need to go beyond, like create businesses that go beyond national borders. And Mr. Sao has mentioned the challenges, Auntie Beatrice has mentioned the challenges. So it is our role as young people to see how it is a challenge. How can we work towards addressing this challenge? Because it has been here for a long time. And one of the key threats, which if not addressed, it will be a great barrier for the young people across the ECOWAS region. And within the ECOWAS region, we are part of the Sahel, and the Sahel is a threat. Young people should promote peace and security. It is a threat, and if you see the dynamic across our region, we will not even think of sitting here to talk. We have seen what is happening in the IAS region, like the regions which have left ECOWAS, but they are part of the Sahel. Burkina is part of the Sahel. Niger is part of the Sahel. Mali is part of the Sahel. What are we doing as young people? We have our national action plan on youth, peace, and security. Gambia was part of the few countries to launch their national action plan. What do we do to promote peace and security? And according to reports, Gambia is the 4th most peaceful country in Africa. How do we jealously guard that? Because what can affect in the next month we will be in Niger to talk about the Sahel, because apart from working at the National Youth Council, I sit in the board of the CENSAD. CENSAD is the community of Saharan and then Sahel states. And these are problem. And to end also, we need to invest in how do we digital innovation and then transformation. We're in the era of technology and artificial intelligence. We need to bridge the gap between what education is doing and what the labor market needs. Because we can have everything, but if you don't have the required skill to access those opportunities, Honorable Salah has mentioned it. We need to bridge the gap between what the education is teaching and what is available at the job market. So I think I'm a young person, and I think like you. I'm just 30, like you. So I think it is everybody's responsibility to think through that line. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. J. Young people should serve as drivers of progress. Young people should also serve as drivers of peace. These are important points that we should all consider in whatever we do. So now we go back to Mr. Saho. Mr. Saho, what practical advice, as someone that has experience in the area of commerce, what practical advice will you give to young entrepreneurs who aspire to build businesses that can compete successfully within the ECOWAS market?
So what I would share as an advice to young people is this. Especially if you intend or plan to go into business. See yourself as a business person that happens to be a youth, and not a youth that is in business. There's a difference between the two. Now, you see, the idea of a youth is not just an idea. If we are not careful about it, it can also be a pacifier. A pacifier that tells you that, wait, the system will support you. You're young. Don't worry. Don't be in a hurry. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you. There is no light at the end of the tunnel right now. That adage might have worked for the generation before us. But for our generation, we have to light up the tunnel itself. We don't have the time to wait for the light at the end of the tunnel. Because for all you know, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. So let's light up the tunnel itself by creating opportunities using our minds and using our hands. The thing is, as a youth, you're told that in other countries where, maybe they've achieved more development than us, the idea of a youth as we project it doesn't exist there. They call them young people, that's it. Because they know that they're saying that a youth ranges from, say, 15 years to 24 or 25 years. That's a 10-year range. Back here, we're saying from 15 to 35. That's a 20-year range. So you're telling the 35-year-old that you're a youth, don't worry, wait, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and he wakes up 35 and realizes that 5 years' time he'll be 40, and then the frustration starts. So the thing is, don't wait for the system. Don't take this idea or the concept that I am a youth and use it as a pillar to lean on. Tie your bootstraps as early as you can and then move forward with your life. Don't wait for the system. The system was not built to save you. It was built to save itself and keep itself going. So as a youth, please don't let the concept of an idea that halela, yudla, come and stay in your mind. It's not working. It works for governments, it works for international organizations because it's a pacifier to keep you waiting. And I don't know if I'll have time again, but I will also say this. Honesty. Now, look, my personal experience, one of the best ways to raise finance for your business is look, as the head of Trust Bank mentioned, the banking system has been explained. One of the best methods to raise finance is honesty. That is my experience. You see, if you're honest and people know that you're honest, you can easily raise capital through that. They will come to you because they know that everybody is scamming everybody, and then you are honest. They will come to you. They will give you their resources. They will give you their assets to manage, and you will generate value from that through something called sweat shares. Go and Google it and understand what sweat shares mean. If you are a youth, you don't have capital to start your business, you have an idea, get the idea, project it to somebody who is willing to invest, and then insist that you own X percentage of that because it's your idea, and then you are managing it. You don't have to bring capital. It's called sweat shares. It's another way of raising capital. But at the helm of it, whatever you do, make sure you're honest. Let nobody take that away from you, because they can take your money, they can take your business, they can shut everything down, but nobody can take your honesty. And if you're honest, you will always raise capital again.
Thank you, Mr. Saho. Honesty is key, and just like he emphasized, if you want to succeed in life, you have to be honest. You have to work hard. And just like Mr. Saho said, we should not wait, as young people, we should not wait for the light at the end of the tunnel. We should go ahead of whatever we want. We should go for it. So now we come back to Madam Senghor. I've seen many young Gambian entrepreneurs, many people that want to venture, like they are entrepreneurs. They will start with small businesses, but at the end of the day, there is no sustainability. The business will collapse even before it moves. So what financial knowledge and habits do you believe young entrepreneurs should develop to build sustainable businesses capable of competing in the regional markets?
Okay, we need to start with financial discipline. Before I became a banker, I was an auditor. And I saw a lot of issues with owner-managed businesses when it came to financial discipline. There's no separation between personal expenses and business expenses. There's no discipline in terms of complying with regulatory requirements like paying taxes, being properly set up, making sure you're filing your annual returns. That discipline needs to be there. It shows that you are serious as a business person. Something else that will be required is that you demonstrate that you're putting in your own skin. If you sacrifice your personal savings or something that is important to your time, your assets into your business, then it makes you less unwilling to risk it. It's easier to risk somebody else's money than to risk your own. So that is also important. But we also need to engage our young people on understanding the dynamics of running a business. It's not just about the idea in your head. You need to understand about governance, about good structures. You need to understand about how you can use people around you to support you in the various ways that you need. We're talking about growing businesses, not just in Gambia. We're looking outside of the borders. So the customer base is not a problem. We are told there are 1.5 billion people in Africa. Easily 400 million in ECOWAS alone. We have 12 member states. So you want to grow as an entrepreneur, Gambia is too small. You need to have bigger vision. You need to be able to develop products and services that will be scalable and attractive to other markets. And that is something that I don't see very often. Too often I see people starting businesses and running down the capital, the little capital they have, very, very quickly. And most of the time, it's not even going where it is supposed to go. I see people coming to banks and finally succeeding, as difficult as it is to get, finally succeeding in getting a bank loan, and straight away it's diverted into other things that it was not meant for. I see that all the time.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Financial discipline is really important, and the power of sacrifice. I will agree with that, because even as people, the mobile, let's take an example of mobile phones. The mobile phone you buy with your own money, you value it more than the one that is bought for you. So this is about financial discipline, and it's about the power of sacrifice, just like Madam Senghor said. We need to sacrifice in order to succeed. You don't expect people to do everything for you, even though we also want to receive support from people that can really support. Yes. So now, we move to Mrs. Mboj. We are told that there are a lot of opportunities for women. Every time we are told women have a lot of opportunities in this country. Young people have a lot of opportunities in this country, especially entrepreneurs. But many entrepreneurs, particularly young women, face barriers such as limited access to finance, markets, and business networks. So in your view, what practical steps are needed to ensure they can fully benefit from the opportunities available through ECOWAS?
Thank you very much. For me, all I'll say is, like he said earlier, I'm a woman, I'll stay, I'll wait. No, all of those days are gone. As a woman, you need to build your capacity in entrepreneurship if you really want to be a seasoned business person, because without a capacity, you will not be able to forge ahead. And then also, yes, not everybody has got that high level of education, but when you are in business, there are certain skills that you need. When you go and acquire those skills, it will help you to be able to understand the ecosystem. And I also say, when you are in business, you shouldn't do it alone in your little corner. You have the ecosystem, that is the chambers of commerce. You have other institutions that are here to support you to get to the next level, that are here to connect you to the networks, that are here to connect you to business opportunities. So try to find out who is there, which players are in this ecosystem that can also give you support. Because normally when opportunities come into the country, we are the first to know and we share amongst our members. So if you are not explore all opportunities that can help you to get to the next level. Don't limit yourself to any one particular opportunity. And then also there's this is the era of information technology. We don't have to be everywhere. In your home, in your bedroom, you can access information worldwide. And I have met a lot of entrepreneurs, female ones, that tell me, I learned to sew through the internet. I follow the instructions and I'm able to have a product now that everybody needs. So the internet is there for you. Let's use it.
Internet negatively, but there are many positive impacts that we can get from the internet. So I hope we take that from her to use the internet positively, to acquire skills, and not to limit ourselves to one opportunity, to explore various opportunities that are available, to also build our capacities in various areas. So now we move to Mr. J. Basiru J. Many young people, I would ask about the ministry, because you are representing your boss. That is the executive director of the National Youth Council, and you work directly with the ministry. So many young people are eager to take advantage of the opportunities across the ECOWAS region. What policies and initiatives is the Ministry of Youth and Sports implementing to empower them through skills development, entrepreneurship, and leadership?
All right, thank you so much. Under the initiative of the Ministry of Youth and Sport, if you look at the ministry, it has several satellite institutions mandated to do different things. Now, if you go to skills and then training, there is what is called President International Award Scheme. It's a satellite institution under the Ministry of Youth and Sport, which focuses on skills like cosmetology, tailoring, bakery, and then other life skills that helps our young people. Now, if you go to National Youth Service Scheme, they have few major initiatives that targets young people, that targets university students who are fresh graduate. That is to bridge, like for them to have the experience in the job market. And the success stories, normally most of them are like employed in those institutions. And if you look at the National Youth Council, we are mandated in like advocacy, and then that is where the Youth Connect Gambia is housed. And then we have seen over the years, Youth Connect has provided a lot of opportunities to young Gambians in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of digital literacy, in terms of even regional integration. You usually see young people taken from the Gambia to other parts of Africa in terms of whether they are having deal room with investors, whether accessing the international market. To end, there is more to be done. We need like more alignment. We need more regional integration. We need more regional internship and then programs within the ECOWAS region. And also, we need more stronger partnership from the public sector, like the public-private partnership. We really need that as young people again. And to end, maybe that's my personal opinion anyway, to separate the youth, like the Ministry of Youth and Sport, to be the Ministry of Youth and the Ministry of Sport standalone. Because if you look at it, our ministry has the least budget in the national budget, and we have the greater, constituency. You cannot say that young people are over 60%, and then you have even less than 1% of the national budget. So, and you are taking care of two major big like sectors, that is youth and then sports. So this can be done with different stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Just to add, I believe these programs, you talk about the National Youth Council, National NYSS, and also the PIA. I believe maybe, that is also my personal opinion, many young people still need to have access to these institutions. So with continuous advocacy, I believe you are going to reach to many young people, because some of these institutions are existent, but we still have some people that are not okay with what they do. So I believe they should also focus on advocacy and also enlightening the young people about some of the opportunities that they create for them. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, we recognize the presence of the ECOWAS representative in the Gambia, Mrs. French. Ma, you're welcome. Thank you. So now we have 15 minutes. But I have this question for all the panelists before we move to the question and answer session. We have young people here. So if you could give one piece of advice to every young Gambian on how they can benefit from ECOWAS and contribute to regional integration, what will it be? If we can have this in 1 minute, it will be appreciated. Maybe we start with, who want to start first? Basil. Yes.
I'll be very happy to and honestly answer this. This is an advice I will give to all young Gambians. Go beyond the national borders. We are too comfortable within where we are. Even sometimes there is this jokes, "Wabanyul hamunken," right? So within ourselves, or like among ourselves, let us connect with one another. And also, one key important thing, let us love our country through service. We can fight among ourselves, but Gambia is what we have. And also, there is a new trend emerging. The belief of populism is really bad. Like disregarding all what the elderly people, our legends are doing, and then said, that's a very, very, sorry for the language, that's a very, very big lie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Basiru. Go beyond national borders and love our country through service. So now, who want to go again? Yes, Madam Boj. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I will say, let's be careful how we sell the country outside the Gambia. As elderly people, what we see in the social media is very bad. And this will come to follow us. If we think it is for the Gambia, no, it is us, our own selves, that we are shooting in the foot. Even when we have national issues, let's manage it very well. But otherwise, have your passion and be patriotic. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's be careful how we sell our country, and let's be patriotic. We all should be patriotic citizens. And I believe we will take that from here, even those who do not believe in patriotism. So now okay, Mr. Saho.
So I would say this. There was mention of production. If you're thinking about going into business as a young person, do two things right now. Start it. Structure. Build structure. Your business has to be structured. Because one thing you have to understand about value is not just about the business being a platform for you to buy and sell. You structure so that that business itself can be sellable. You can take a whole business and sell it at a very good premium if you build structure. That's one. The other thing is it has to do with how to call it. My mind. I'm getting old. It happens. Yeah. So the other one would have to do with one is structure. The other one has to do with think. You see, gone are the days where to start a business you have to just solve a problem. Yes, still to start a business you have to solve a problem, but you have to also create value. Create value. Now I see we have one of our famous social media socialites here. I think I recognize her. Is that Tina? Now, is Tina solving a problem? You might say, no, she's not solving a problem, but she's creating value. So value does not necessarily have to be a problem. It has to be something that people can relate to and are able to and are willing and ready to exchange money for it. Another one is, I'll give an example. You know Kabi Lame? What product is he selling? What problem is he solving? So it's not just about products and problems. Now it has extended to value. He's creating value. And he is the biggest TikToker without saying anything. But somebody sees that as value. So when you're thinking about getting into business, think about products, think about solving problems, but in this day and age, also think about value. Just
Thank you. Think about value, think about solving problems, and build structure. Yes, Mrs. Senghor.
I'll start with what has already been mentioned, but I cannot fail to, because it is something that is very important to me. Adverse media. We put it out there on the internet for everybody to see, and we don't realize the consequences it is having on us. Every day we post something negative about the country. A correspondent bank somewhere is de-risking African banks because we are putting negative information out there, and they don't have trust for our compliance regimes, for our level of corruption, perception, or whatever it is. We are harming ourselves, and it is harming us, and it will harm you as the entrepreneurs. Because now, even imagine you have a market, you have goods that are sellable across the ECOWAS region. How do you get your money? Even that is a challenge. Now you have to convert from Dalasi to US dollars to whatever currency it is, assuming it is Ghana. You're exposing yourself to foreign exchange losses. And it's going to get to a point where most of us banks are already facing heavy de-risking. It's going to get to the point where will we even have banks? So say everything else is going right and your product is really good. How are you going to get your money? How are you even going to ship it? Our transportation system, our infrastructure, all of these things may be outside of your control. So we have to engage our governments and our leaders so that they can put into place everything that needs to be taken into account to make it seamless for us to be able to trade with each other.
Thank you so much. We've come to the end of the dialogue, but now we're moving to the open forum. That is the question and answer session. It's open forum on the role of ECOWAS in the Gambia, youth participation in regional integration, misinformation, and regional identity. So if you have any question, you please raise your hand and indicate the panelists whom the question is directed to. But this question can be open. We have our uncle here, misinformation and regional identity. And I know you have so many things that you want to discuss on the misinformation and regional identity. Please, I would urge you all to also keep your questions brief. We have just few minutes, I think 15 minutes in this session. Please keep it brief and indicate the panelists who the question is directed to. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and a very well appreciated panel discussion, which was indeed based on experience. Well, before going further, I am Sada Sise, the current head boy of Charles Zhao Memorial Academy, and it is a pleasure to be part of this campaign. Well, my question is directed to Mr. Saho. Mr. Saho, my question is that, how can ECOWAS create more employment entrepreneurship opportunities for Gambian citizens? And also, in your further discussions, I would like you to tell me the barriers preventing young people from trading within the ECOWAS sub-region. I thank you all.
Thank you. So do we take questions or we just answer them as they come in?
Maybe we take several questions and they can answer all together at
yes.
once.
So Mr. Baji want to have a question there.
This then, Baji.
Okay, no problem.
Good morning. I am Mahmoud Sambu representing St. Augustine's. Madam Moderator, I don't want to be restricted to just asking a question. I want to generally get into the thought-provokingness of the discussion today, not just limiting it to entrepreneurship and opportunities. First, I would want to appreciate Forward Gambia for this initiative, for the official launch of the ECOWAS clubs in the Gambia. That is precisely why I'm here. First, we talk about initiatives being launched, but it's important to also think abroad about the implementation strategies. Having these clubs in the Gambia, it's important, but implementing the strategies to achieving the very objective for which ECOWAS is established is equally important. The challenges and the way forward must be discussed first. That ECOWAS is facing numerous challenges. Just like Honorable Salah said, a group of people will force their way to the State House, seize a whole country, and just write a notice that they are leaving ECOWAS. Is ECOWAS ECOWAS of the people, or is ECOWAS just ECOWAS of states? That has to be very much discussed in today's discussion. That Africa went through revolutions. We went through the democratic revolution.
Thank you, brother. We have just 15 minutes. You are giving great comments, but can we have this maybe after the session? Let's have the question and answer right now. Then maybe after we can have the comments.
Yeah, I think that is why I started by saying I don't want to be restricted. However, I respect
please.
that.
No problem.
But my role here is to really interrogate the very essence of having ECOWAS clubs in the Gambia. That is why I'm here. But it's fine. We can go ahead with the questions.
If you have question, please ask the question. Then after we can have this discussion.
Yeah, my question will be directed to Honorable Sala.
Thank you.
You made mention of ECOWAS of the people and ECOWAS of states. How do we move from having ECOWAS of states to really integrating ECOWAS of the people? The people of the Gambia would see beyond Gambia. That it's not just Gambia, it's Gambia, ECOWAS, Africa, and the world at large. How do we get to that level? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well, my question is, I don't know who will answer. It was mentioned by Dr. Left, that is Honorable, about Honorable Halifa is also here probably. And then that is pertaining to ECOWAS Treaty on the Free Movements of Goods and People. We have experienced that many a times when people travel through airports, we don't tend to understand sometimes the difficulties people that through learn are the difficulties that they've gone through. And most of our SMEs, more specifically when it comes to women empowerment, these are people who don't have the capacity to travel through airports. Honorable, if you can help us understand what will be the solution towards helping small businesses or small business owners to easily move from one border within the ECOWAS to another without some of the difficulties that they're going through. I know entering the Gambia is a little bit flexible, but going out of the Gambia is sometimes challenging. Thank you.
Okay, I'll do the ladies. Sorry, I'll be biased. You guys had all the questions.
Okay. Good morning to you all. So I am Ramatulai Kambi, a student of Mansakoli Bojang Upper and Senior Secondary. So my question will be forwarded to Mrs. Beatrice. Okay. So you made mention of knowing our rights, especially when it comes to women in trade. And every day in our daily lives, women are now involved in trade every day. So, and they are facing lots of challenges when it comes to not knowing their rights. And what do you think ECOWAS can do in helping them to overcome those challenges?
There's a lady here. Maybe we take her last.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I am Adam Andal, the Vice President of the University of the Gambia Students' Union. My question is open to any of the panelists here. The question is, given the occurring political and security challenges in some member states, how can economic community of West African states maintain its credibility while balancing respect for national sovereignty with its responsibility, right, to uphold democracy and constitutional order? It's open to all of you.
Yeah. Thank you. So we have 5 for now. Maybe we can have another round of 5 to have it final. We will come back to you all. Then let's allow the panelists to answer the questions that are posed to them. We will come back to those who want to still ask questions. Yes. So, Honorable, you want to start first?
Well, the first question is something that we should focus on, especially in this program. We must see the relation of the person and the state. And what is now the norm is that the person who governs derives authority from the consent of the people. So that is how you can make the state to exist for the people. That the state derives its authority from the consent of the people and exercises that authority in the interest of the people. That is how our states should function. The issue is not whether they are functioning that way or not. That's how they should function. That is also how ECOWAS, what I said here is ECOWAS is an enlarged community. It's like moving the nation to enlarge it so that we belong to a larger community, which will also have institutions, executive, parliamentary, as well as courts, judicial institutions. So those institutions should serve the same function as they serve at the national level. That is really how it should be. We have not reached that level because the sensitization has not reached that level. You still have ECOWAS parliamentarians. But if you ask people, how did these people become ECOWAS parliamentarians? Many people would not know because they are selected from a national assembly. But if you were to have elections of ECOWAS parliamentarians, and you know the reason why you are sending them there, and they have power to legislate at a regional level. If you can take these issues that you talk about, because if the ECOWAS treaty is being violated, if protocols are being violated, and you have a right to take those people to the ECOWAS court for a decision. So you begin to derive meaning that this institution is actually there to ensure that the provisions of the treaty are being respected. So in short, I hope that answers the question. Number two, many people have mentioned here the difficulties they are having with Senegal, etc. You see, if you look at the treaty, there are many things that should be addressed. But the problem is we are not organized. And nobody is really monitoring what is happening. In each country, there must be an institution given that responsibility to be an oversight. Of course, our parliaments are supposed to be, but you need specialized institutions to serve as oversight, where you can go and complain that this particular provision or article is being violated, and that person has authority to consult another higher authority at the ECOWAS level. So the problem really is lack of institution building. We just create a body, but the institution that should accompany the body to ensure that what is in the articles are actually being implemented, that is missing. Because if you look at this freedom of movement of people, goods, and services, even capital. You've seen the banks. How do they meet to talk about challenges and also possibilities? You see, integration is harmonization of the implementation of policies, the creations of institutions. So unless we do that, well, the integration will just be there in words, but not actually being implemented. So in actual fact...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Kahali. So 2 questions are already answered. Now, Mr. Saho? Yes.
So the gentleman, the question directed at me was, how does ECOWAS contribute to creating actual advancement on the ground, say in the Gambia? So I am of the opinion, type of jobs, growth, and actual development on the ground, whether it's in Gambia or any other West ECOWAS state. ECOWAS's responsibility should be or is facilitation. Facilitation, opening doors, making sure that the opportunities are available so that the citizens and the government, civil society can act on those opportunities that has been facilitated. For example, today we have ECOMIC in the Gambia. The agenda is peace. Now, what do we as a country do with that peace? Do we just take it to say that, okay, Gambia is one of the most peaceful countries in the world, full stop? No. Peace is not an end in itself. It's a means to an end. It is a vehicle. Today, the Gambia, one of the things that we project the most globally is that we are a peaceful country. We have been peaceful from 1965 till date. We have a few issues, 81, 94, but that's not even too much compared to the global scheme of things. But today, when it comes to development indicators of human progress, we're being compared with countries that has been at civil war for a protracted period. No disrespect, Sierra Leone, Eritrea, South Sudan. These are the countries we have been pegged with. But we've enjoyed peace, but we use the peace as we have arrived. No, the peace is not the end. It's a means to an end. So the barriers on the other side with regards to trade, us integrating with the rest of the sub-region, has to do with our immediate neighbor. We have to address that problem. We cannot take a bottle of water to or any place in the sub-region without going through Senegal. Senegal is an issue, and we have to address it adequately.
Thank you, Mr. Saho.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Auntie Beatrice. Yeah.
Thank you. Again, your question was, what can ECOWAS do about women inclusion and knowing our rights and all that? Again, I'll say, as a nation, it is our duty to enlighten our own people. When you look at the percentage of women in the Gambia, is over 51%. When we look at the electoral votes, it goes to about 52 or 53% of women electing. So it means that representation is our key problem here. Look at cabinet, how many women are there? Look at the National Assembly, how many women are there? And elected, only 3, 2 were nominated. So if we're not sitting where we should sit to be able to make a case for ourselves, we'll continue being behind and not knowing our rights and not getting to where we should. So the beginning of everything is, let us try to get women to be in strategic positions in the government, in the National Assembly, so that when our issues come up, we will be able to push it and get the desired results. Otherwise, we'll be wriggling around in a round hole and not being able to get to where we want to get to. So it is for us to do it, and then ECOWAS may come in with any kind of support.
Thank you.
But for now, it's a national issue.
Thank you. The lady there asked a question. That's general question for any panelist who is willing to answer. I don't know. Yes.
I don't think I can remember, but I think in summary, she was asking about the relevance of ECOWAS, how they can remain relevant. With the need.
Okay. Yes, Honorable.
Well, that's a very important question. And it's a double-barrel question. Number one, credibility must be derived from building national institutions, ensuring the right type of leadership, and the right type of environment that would yield the type of peace and development that the country needs. That's how you build national credibility. But the challenge that is being experienced is challenging the very existence of governments by other means. You see, if it is challenging the existence of governments by relying on the consent of the people themselves, then you can have changes of governments and still have stability. But if you can challenge the existence of government by overthrowing it, and after the overthrow you also maintain government, well then you see that the problem cannot be fixed, because it means that people will continue to leave ECOWAS, even though ECOWAS has a protocol on democracy and good government that says that there should be zero tolerance to unconstitutional state of government or overstay in government. So if you have people overstaying in government, others overthrowing government, then the very essence of government of the people is negated. So it means that it falls back to the citizens who constitute the majority. That's why the education must continue to ensure that we build institutions that are respected. And the primary institution that should safeguard what you've said is the institution of representation and deriving power from the authority of the people. So
thank you so
if we
much,
have that right, we start from the right foundation.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Unfortunately, we cannot take any further question because it's time. But maybe you can write down your questions, and if the panelists have time before they leave, they can help you answer the questions. Yeah. So as we come to the end of this engaging discussion, I would like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to our distinguished panelists for sharing their insights. I believe each and every one of us, even though with limited time, we're able to learn something about ECOWAS and the various opportunities that are available. Also, I would thank Forward Limited under the leadership of Madam Drame for creating this important initiative. It is timely, and I believe it will create a great impact in the lives of the young people. So thank you all, as participants too, for your brilliant questions and for the participation during the discussion. Before we leave, I would want you to all to give a round of applause to our great panelists. Thank you to Uncle Haruna. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll excuse Madam Beatrice Mboj. She has an activity next door. Well, Madam Jilan also wants to run, but we just have a few minutes to go. Manager at Forward, he has 5 minutes to introduce the clubs, the ECOWAS clubs. Like we've said before, it's first been launched in the Gambia and probably will be exported to all other ECOWAS countries. So it's a great moment for us as young people in the Gambia as well. Modu?
Thank you very much. Greetings to Honorable Halifa Saleh. Good afternoon to the distinguished panelists, and good afternoon to the beautiful guests present here. I greet you all. It is an honor to introduce to you the ECOWAS Clubs Gambia. Over the past 2 weeks, we have been across the Banjul, Serekunda, and Birkama area, meeting schools and universities. We've been engaging with them on the ECOWAS mandate, the ECOWAS institutions, the opportunities available particularly to young people in the ECOWAS framework. And we've also been engaging them about their perspectives when it comes to regional integration. But it was clear during these sessions we had in the schools that 1 hour session was never enough, or even a day-long session was not enough for young people to know what they need to know about ECOWAS. If you look at the ECOWAS population, we have, as it stands now, over 400 million people. And 65% of that population are below 24 years. 44% are in fact below 15. And that shows that the young people are a big demographics when it comes to the ECOWAS population. And that makes them, if not the primary, one of the most important stakeholders in ensuring that the ECOWAS vision is realized. So it is in light of that that the initiative came about to establish ECOWAS clubs in the Gambia.
And that is why we have initiated 11 ECOWAS clubs across 11 institutions in the Gambia. In Banjul, yes. We have initiated ECOWAS clubs in the Gambia Senior Secondary School, in St. Augustine Senior Secondary School, and in St. Joseph Senior Secondary School within Banjul. And in Serekunda, we have initiated ECOWAS clubs in Nusrat Senior Secondary School, Charles Jau Memorial Academy, and Gambia Methodist Academy. And in Birkama, we have initiated the clubs in Mahad Senior Secondary School, Mansakoli Bojang Senior Secondary School, and Kabafita Senior Secondary Schools. So in the tertiary institutions, we have also initiated ECOWAS clubs in University of Education, the Gambia, formerly Gambia College, and in the University of the Gambia. And that makes it 11 ECOWAS chapters within the Serekunda, Brikama, and Banjul areas. So the ECOWAS club structures are like this. We have a central committee, and then we have school chapters. So in each school, you have a chapter with its executive and general members. But we also have what you call the Central Executive Committee. That includes all chapters within the school, the clubs that in schools we have initiated clubs in. And in each school, there is a representative that is going to form part of the executive of the Central Executive Committee of the ECOWAS clubs. So why the clubs? Why is it important that we initiate these clubs? So we have been talking a lot since the morning about the opportunities available. We have raised some very important topics, some pertinent issues concerning the current ECOWAS framework. What are the challenges within, and what can we do about that? So the initiative, the ECOWAS clubs, are a platform where these discussions, these engagements can continue. So in the schools, the ECOWAS clubs will ensure that learning about ECOWAS, understanding their rights within the ECOWAS frameworks, and the opportunities and regional identity are discussed. Also, the clubs will enable students in particular to talk about the issues that matter to them, especially when it comes to regional integration, misinformation, and the shared future that we all have as young people. The clubs will also enable members to organize debates. As during the discussions, you can tell that there are so many issues, especially within the ECOWAS framework as of now, that requires deeper reflections and serious discourse. ECOWAS clubs will also enable students or club members to develop projects, connect with peers across the Gambia and even beyond, and enhance networking. So basically, the discussions that have been inspired by the campaign do not just end here, but it continues and is nurtured and promoted in the long run. So ladies and gentlemen, also follow suit. So I thank you all.
Thank you, Modu. Hoping, Modu, that at the central level, the representation is male and female. Honorable Salah, I can tell you, I've been to probably 7 of the 11 schools that they've visited. Interestingly, we have more girls in all of these halls, in all of these schools. There were 2 schools that I was surprised. You're talking about 75 to 85% female in the halls. So I'm being surprised. What are the boys doing? This empowering girls, is it weakening the boys? Seriously, for most of these schools, it's far more girls you'll find than boys. I think I did ask you about that. At least 2 or 3 of the schools, we had far more girls in attendance. So I think we need to begin to empower the boys a little bit more, because the girls have been, and when you look at the results, especially, we do this yearly awards with Trust Bank. I've attended maybe 3 or 4 years in a row. It's all girls getting all A's in the WAS exams, etc. So boys, we need to tighten the belt. We need to tighten the belt. And now, with pleasure, we are very honored to be graced in this occasion by Her Excellency Madame French, the resident representative of ECOWAS to the Gambia, and her presence means a lot to this program. It therefore speaks volumes that ECOWAS itself is very much invested in the welfare of our young people, in also creating awareness around its mandate and efforts that are being done across West Africa. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, do we say boys and girls? I think we're all ladies and gentlemen here. We'd like to welcome Her Excellency, Madame French.
Honorable Ali Fasala and other members of the high table, first of all, my sincere apologies for barging in a little bit late, but I had another engagement, and sometimes ECOWAS wants to divide me into some kind of a trinity because we're very thin on the ground and a lot is happening. But I'm very pleased to be here. And just by way of buttressing the point you made earlier about the girls, I think 3 weeks ago we started a round of, I'm sure maybe there are 1 or 2 people in the room who participated or attended those quiz competitions. Is there anybody here who was part of that? So we have at least 1 person. And it was the same, even though it was open, but at the end of the day, the winners were, well, equally split. We had 3 girls and 3 boys at the end of the day. So each contest, we had 1 girl and 1 boy winning. So we are happy for the girls, but also probably it is a jolt that we need to also support the boys a little bit more so that they too step up. But let me go to my speech. It is a profound honor for me to stand before you representing the president of the ECOWAS Commission and all of the members of Abuja who are very keen to ensure that this project takes off. The Gambia is not just a member state of ECOWAS, but a founding pillar of our community. Since 1975, we have worked together through peace and through challenge. Our relationship is anchored on 3 pillars: democracy, mobility, and shared prosperity. After 2016, ECOWAS stood with the Gambian people to protect constitutional order, and through ECOMIG, we continue to support stability and security in the country and in the broader security sector reform. We also support the transitional justice process because lasting peace is built on truth and accountability. We are also working with the government to widen the market and pave the way to sub-region for trade to the sub-region for the trader in Basse, the fish processor in Gunjur, and the young entrepreneur in Sirikunda. Through the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme, we are reducing barriers. At our joint border posts, we are training officials to facilitate and not frustrate. We are also collaborating on fisheries, agriculture, and climate resilience because we know that coastal livelihoods suffer. Regional stability suffers as well. Finally, the ECOWAS Protocol on Free Movement means a Gambian student can study in Ghana without a visa, and a Gambian nurse can work in Sierra Leone. A Gambian artist can tour the region. These are not abstract rights. They are your rights as citizens of ECOWAS and citizens of West Africa. But here is the honest truth. Many of you young people do not know these rights exist. And if you do not know that you have a right, you cannot use it. This is the gap we must close. This meeting today is a critical moment. Across our region, young people, just like you, are asking hard questions. Where are the jobs? Who benefits from our natural resources? What does it mean to be Gambian or to be West African? At the same time, misinformation spreads faster than facts. It divides us. It tells young people that ECOWAS is far away, or regional integration is only for elites. So why the school clubs? Building ECOWAS of the peoples from the classrooms up. A launch is never just about a plaque, a banner, or a photo. It is building a foundation. And today, in the Gambia, we're pouring concrete into a foundation that I believe will outlive all of us in this room. A movement to put young Gambians at the very center of West African integration. The first country to launch these important clubs. Think of these clubs not just as another extracurricular activity, but as a miniature ECOWAS parliament in your schools. A space where you can, one, learn and understand. You will learn about ECOWAS protocols that protect you, the right to enter any member state with just your national ID for 90 days, the right to reside and work, the rights of women and girls, the frameworks on peace and security. Knowledge is power, and this is your power. 2, debate and question. A club in St. Augustine's can host a debate. Is the SFPA working for Gambian fisheries? A club in Gambia, senior secondary school, can discuss, how do we fight misinformation about migration? When you ask questions, you're looking for answers and solutions. 3, act and lead. I want to see clubs organizing community cleanups on the coast and linking it to climate policy. I would like to see clubs inviting the National Youth Council, the Chamber of Commerce, and Trust Bank to mentor you, just as we have today. I would like to see clubs connecting with sister clubs in Senegal or Nigeria to share ideas. If young people do not see themselves as ECOWAS, then ECOWAS will remain a building in Abuja, but you can claim it, and then ECOWAS becomes your platform. So what is Vision 2020? The future starts with you. ECOWAS has committed to Vision 2020, ECOWAS of the people, peace and prosperity for all. Vision 2050 has a simple revolutionary idea. We must move from a community of states to a community of citizens. And what does it look like? It looks like a student in Sukuta who knows that she can take her skills to Abidjan. It looks like a school club at the university that produces a policy paper on youth and unemployment and sends it to us at the resident representative's office. It looks like you engaging transparently, looking for opportunities and pushing delivery of regional agreements for grassroots communities. This is not just a dream for 2050. The work starts right here, today, and it starts with you. Distinguished guests, students, teachers, the challenge of our region, peace, jobs, climate, identity are big. I'm encouraged by your interest and commitment and energy. And I dare say, the future can only be brighter. Therefore, it is with pride, hope, and with great expectation that I declare the ECOWAS School Clubs in the Gambia officially launched. May your clubs be places of curiosity, courage, and collaboration. Use the clubs to build the Gambia you want and the West Africa you deserve. The future of our region cannot wait. We have to build it, and we have to build it together. ECOWAS is with you. The future is yours. Thank you. Jerejef Abarka.
Excellency, you added Abaraka now. Thank you so much. And really great. We introduced the book, Political Leadership in West Africa, The Facts and the Factors. It's available here. We have copies. Those of you who are interested, kindly see us at the back, and we're happy to give you one for 1,000 only. It's written by Dr. Ida Jallo Sala. Very interesting read. I just read the preface this morning, and I'm excited to read the rest of it. and I'll encourage you to do the same. I would now like to invite, with pleasure, the person who really makes me suffer at home. She's a friend sometimes. Other times, I think she's sent to me. Other times, she's an angel. Other times, I'm not even sure what she is. Ladies and gentlemen, Aissata Cham.
Good afternoon, members of the High Table, representatives of government departments, representatives of the civil society organizations, to the private sector, the media actors, our distinguished guests, ECOWAS Club teacher coordinators, and most importantly, our students and youth leaders. And a special good afternoon to Her Excellency, Madam French. It is with pride and excitement that I bring today's very successful program to a happy end. Today has been truly inspiring. To our host, Mr. Haruna Drame, thank you for setting the tone and the warmth and your professionalism. We're grateful. To my lecturer, the Honorable Dr. Ismaila Cisse, Minister of Information, Media and Broadcasting Services, who had to leave early due to a conflicting engagement. We thank him for his powerful presentation on the role of ECOWAS. His insights grounded us in the policy and purpose behind this work. To our distinguished elder statesmen, Honorable Halifa Saleh, Uncle Halifa, we thank you for challenging us to think critically about ECOWAS, misinformation, and regional identity. Your wisdom reminded us that integration must be understood, not assumed. Thank you, Uncle. To our panelists, thank you for your rich and practical conversation on youth opportunities. My appreciation goes to you all. Mr. Basiru J. of the National Youth Council, thank you, Mr. Gay. Mr. Babakar Saho, Deputy CEO of Gambia Chamber of Commerce. To my sister, Ms. Njilan Senghor, the Managing Director of Trust Bank, PLC, thank you. And to my favorite Auntie B, who had to leave early because of another engagement she has, we thank her. She's the CEO of the Gambia Women's Chamber of Commerce. And to our excellent facilitator, Honorable Jabu Sisao, thank you, the Speaker of the National Youth Parliament. You kept us focused, you kept us engaged, forward-looking, and you kept us on time. Thank you, Ms. Jabu. A conflicting engagement, that's why she came a bit late, one that she could not miss. But ma'am, thank you for your visionary keynote and for formally launching the club. Your commitment to ECOWAS of the peoples came through clearly. Thank you. To all our invitees, partners, teachers, and students, thank you. Thank you for not only gracing us with your presence, but for participating fully, for asking questions, for debating, for staying engaged. This was not a passive event, and that was exactly what we had hoped for. This field awareness campaign has been a journey for us at Forward Limited. Over the past weeks, our team have met young people across Banjul, Serekunda, and Birkama. We spoke with you about ECOWAS's mandate. We listened to your questions about movement, trade, jobs, and identity. And we saw something powerful. We saw curiosity, ambition, and the desire to be a part of something bigger than one border. That energy is what brought us here today. So let me take a moment to thank ECOWAS for trusting Forward Limited with the opportunity to implement this initiative. It has been an honor to serve as a bridge between ECOWAS and the Gambian youth. We do not take this responsibility lightly. The statements and discussions we have had been very insightful, very honest and hopeful. They had shown us that when government, the private sector, youth leaders, regional institutions sit at the same table, we can chart a clearer path. And now to our new ECOWAS Club members, some of whom are with us here today. This launch is not the finish line. It is the starting block. I challenge you, the youths, you, the students. Use these clubs. Use them as your platforms. Debate, organize, invite leaders. Research policies. Partner with your communities and hold us accountable. Let your clubs be the place where the ECOWAS Vision 2050 and ECOWAS of the peoples, peace and prosperity to all, is understood, tested, and strengthened by Gambian youths. If you do that, then you will remember today not just as a lunch, but today will be remembered as the day Gambian students claim their place in the future of West Africa. And finally, to the Mercy Residence Hotel team and to our media colleagues. Also to every other person who had worked behind the scenes to make this event a possible one. We now invite you to join us for refreshment and for the photos that will remind us of this important day. I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you for doing my job. Refreshments, if there are any cameras and CSs here, please excuse us, you can leave now. The others, you may stay. There's a camera or a CC? You may leave, sir. Thank you very much for coming. But we'd like to take a group photo. If we have the photographers, do we do the group photo here so we can have some people stand and then we can have the backdrop, or would you want us to take the photo outside? Outside would be better? Okay. The refreshments, are we carry go or is here? Or it's here? Those who want to carry go, what do? They carry go. Okay. Those who want to carry go can carry go, but let's please have the group photo outside. Thank you.